Hey guys, it's Jason with the Board Game Mechanics, and today we're going to take a look at a little two-player card game about trying to bring a murderer to justice called Lawyer Up. Lawyer Up is a two-player only game from Rock Manor Games where one player is taking on the role of prosecution and the other player is taking on the role of the defense to try to solve a case in their favor. So the case that came in the prototype version that I have is a murder case. So the prosecution is trying to put that murderer away and the defense is just trying to create enough question in the juror's head to have one of them, just one of them, doubt the prosecution's case. You're going to do that through some cool like card drafting to kind of build a deck, and then you're going to use that deck to do a tug of war with the witnesses to try to get the witnesses to tell your story. That's enough talking about it. Let's go down to the table, see how it plays. All right, so here's a game of Lawyer Up. All set up mostly. We still have a little draft to do here in a second, but let me go over setup pretty quickly. To set up, you're going to give one player is going to be the prosecution, which is red. One player is going to be the defense, which is blue. Each player, depending on your role, you're going to get a certain type of card. So prosecution are going to get these red cards like this. There's a whole deck, big fat stack. And then defense will get these cards that have the blue defense at the top. Each player is going to get a closing statements card, which looks something like this. There's 3 to choose from. They're going to give you some in-game goal points that you're trying to score from the witnesses. So you want these traits here on your witnesses. Let's see. And then you're going to give the prosecution the bloody knife to start out in their hand, because that's the murder weapon. You got to have the murder weapon. And you're going to give the defense the defendant right here, so they can have a witness that they can call sometime throughout the game to kind of give them a little bit of a boost. All right. Then what you're going to do is you're going to put the judge, which is two-sided. She is for the prosecution on the red and the defense on the blue. You're going to put her face up as the red, or prosecution. And on these cards, it's going to have a list of witnesses. So you can see the prosecution wants these 5 witnesses. So you're going to get those 5 witnesses. The defense is going to have 4, and you're going to put them face up around the judge. And then you're going to have the jury here. So the top of the jury is going to be jurors that are leaning in favor of the prosecution. The bottom are jurors that are leaning in favor of the defense. The way this game works is the prosecution is trying to either have all of the jurors by the end of the game swayed in their favor, which means on the red. So let me show you this one. You can see there's 2 red and 2 blue. If the prosecution's anywhere on this side at the end of the game, they win. Or if they can lock all 12 of them before we've talked to all the witnesses, they win. All the defense has to do is just have at least one juror in their favor at the end of the game to win. And that's it. So that's how you play, or how you set it up. Now let's get down to playing. There's a little bit of initial setup here. So I'm going to kind of simulate some of this. I'm going to just do it. I'm going to do a couple times through, and then I'm just going to simulate it. So what we're going to do here are these fat stack of cards. We're each going to draw 3 cards. So say this is the prosecution's hand. They're going to keep a card for them. They're going to give a card to their opponent. And they're going to put a card over here that's going to be buried evidence that they might be able to dig through later. So let's show you what some of the cards look like. They're going to have traits at the top, which you can see up there. They have types of cards that you're going to have to play. That's the whole gist of the game. And then they're going to have a value. They're going to be neutral. They're going to be D for defense or P for prosecution. And I'll explain some of that means in a little bit. And they're going to have special abilities down at the bottom. So in this case, the prosecution probably wants this one because it's a 5. So they'll keep that, put it face down here. Then they'll give me this one. Then they'll bury one. And then the defense is going to do the same thing. And I'm just going to simulate all that so we don't have to watch it, and then we'll get playing. All right, so the prosecution has their cards. The defense has their cards. The buried treasure evidence is up here. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take the cards that you drafted and you're going to mix them in with your starting deck to have a deck that you can play with. So let's go ahead and do that. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. And then we'll get playing. And I'm going to talk you through, I'm going to play through one whole examining of a witness, and then I'll kind of show you in-game scoring, and then we'll be done. Because you'll get the gist of it after one. It's pretty straightforward, but it can be a little funky, I guess, too, because it's different a little bit. All right. Then once you get your card shuffled, you're going to draw up to 5, but the prosecution's also going to have the bloody knife in their first hand. And then we can get started if I learn how to shuffle. All right, here we go. So 5 cards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put these down here. All right, so these are their cards. They're going to get 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Plus the knife. All right. Now we're going to play. So starting out, the prosecution's first, so they get to call the first witness. So they're going to look at all these witnesses, and they're going to find one that's going to try to help them win. So they want this one, because if you look at this one, let me explain here. So when they look at this one, it's going to have a intelligence and love. I'm not sure what the tokens are, but it's going to have the brain symbol and the heart symbol. And if you look at their goal card, they want brain and heart symbols. And it's going to give them, on their side, it's going to give them a starting 4 for prosecution. So they're going to go ahead and do that. All right, so they're going to be playing cards on this side. Defense is going to be playing cards on this side. Now, the way that you play cards, what's going on here? So the way you're going to play cards is you have to play a card. The first card you play has to match the card that's on there. So the first card has to be a brain, a heart, or a thumb. So we're going to go ahead and play. So they're going to look in their cards. So you can kind of see their cards here. I'll show you the symbols. So here's what some of their cards look like. Let me show you this one. So the types of cards, there are procedures, there are arguments, there's evidence. So this is a procedure. Procedures can be played in 2 ways. They can be played down in front of you as an action to play later. So you're going to basically hold this to take an action later. Or they can be used as wild, because you can see they have all the symbols up at the top, to play right here to make it easier to play additional cards. So they're going to be played 2 ways. And then you might also notice these tokens. These tokens are going to be used for a couple of different things. This token right here, this little judge, is going to be used as a sidebar. So what you would do if you want to do this, you would exhaust it. Then if the judge is not in your color, which in this case it would be, you would flip it to your color and you get to draw a card. If you lose the examination of the witness, you would get to unexhaust this token. These are objections. You're going to be able to object to an argument or a procedure during the game 3 times. Some cards will let you bring them back, but use them wisely because you only have 3. Both players have the same thing, so if you want to do that. All right, so this player is going to play a card. So I'm going to show you what cards are going to play as they play them. So let's see here. Man, I don't want to use any of these. And they're going to go ahead and play this one. They're going to play an argument. So logical argument. So +2 value for every brain right here that's in the examination on their side. So that's what they're going to play here. And it has a brain symbol so they can play it. Now the next card they play has to either be a brain, the scale, or a wild. It has to be able to, it doesn't match these, it matches this card. All right, so that's their turn. Then the other player thinks, I don't really want that card to be out there. So I'm going to object. So they're going to flip their token, they're going to object, and that means this card is now discarded. And they now don't have that next to them. So that's that. Now it'll be the defense's turn. They're going to take a card. Their cards are similar, but they're going to have different icons, different functions. So let's kind of go ahead and, can't play that one. Let's play this one. Nope, don't have anything in our discard. Let's do this one. No, that's rough too. Man, all these cards are not good. All right, here we go. I'll just play this one. What the heck? So I'm going to play this one. It's a prosecution card, which on my side, on the defensive side, they only are going to score influence, which I'll explain in a minute. For defense, or defense D, or N for neutral, these I can play, but they don't count toward my influence. So I'm going to go ahead and play it. It's a heart, and now it's going to tell me I have to lock one skull, which I don't know if I can. I cannot lock one skull, so I'm not going to worry about that. All right. So that was the defense's turn. Now we're going on to the prosecution. And they want to... They're going to play this emotional argument. It's an argument. It has to be played with a heart or a thumb. This guy has the skull, or the brain, heart, and thumb. And this is going to add +2 value for every heart card in my examination if it's the last card on my side of the examination. The bottom text only matters when it says sway, if you're playing it and it does something, or if it's the last card. And I'll explain some of that in a little bit. So that's their turn. And it's back to the defense. I keep calling it defense. It's not football, but defense. They want to... I'm going to go ahead and play this one. So I'm going to do some charity work. This is a heart or a thumb. I have a heart on that card. So this says examination. Shuffle a heart card from your discard into your deck. I don't have anything in my discard, so I can't do this. And if this is the last card and I win the witness, I can do this action down here, which is unlock or sway one heart. So charity work. So that was that turn. Back to the prosecution. They're going to play a thumb up. So they'll play the thumb up here. They're going to discredit the witness, which is not very smart. So they don't want to do that, actually. All right, they're going to go ahead and do this. They're going to put down a procedure. So they're going to play this down in front of them, not as the wild. They're just going to play it down in front to be used later if the judge is on their side. So they'll put that there. Bribery. It's going to let them play 2 cards from their deck to our examination without having to match symbols, which is really helpful. So that was their turn. Then it's the defense's turn. And they're going to go ahead and play... I can't play that one. So they'll play this one, because it's the only thing they can play. Actually, they're going to just... They're going to sidebar. So what that means is they're going to spend their token. They're going to flip the judge to their side. So now it's their color. Then they're going to draw cards from their deck. And they drew a defense card that they're unable to play, which kind of stinks. All right, so that's their turn. Now back to prosecution. They have a bunch of cards they can play still. They're going to beat this anyway. So they're going to go ahead and discredit the witness. Has a thumb, so they can play it. Nope, they don't want to play that one. That would not be good. They're actually going to go ahead and use this. So they're going to take this. First, they're going to sidebar. So they have to get the judge on their side before they can use that. So the judge is on their side, then they're going to draw a card. In order to use these cards, the judge has to be in your color. And they drew this. Alright, so that was their turn. Back to the defense. I don't know if they can do anything, so they might just pass. Yeah, they can play this. This is not good for them, but they're going to go ahead and play this. Because it has a thumb, a heart, and a brain, and this has a thumb and a heart, so we'll go ahead and play that. It says double the primary value of the witness if that's the last card, which is no bueno, so we need to cover that up, because this would make that 8, and that's not good. Alright, so now, because the judge is in their favor here, they're going to do the bribery. So what that's going to let them do, they're going to let them flip the top 2 cards and play them without ignoring by ignoring symbols. So that stinks. So they got a co-counsel, which is a procedure like this, but it's now there as a wild. And then another wild, so that didn't help them at all. And then this card goes away. That was a real big waste. Alright, and then this card, whenever you use one of these cards, that gets flipped to the other side's color. Alright, now it's the defense's turn. And they are going to play this one, witness depositions. It's not going to really help them at all. It's going to let them draw a discard, but they want to cover that one up because that's no good. Alright, and that's their turn. Now they have a wild down there, so they're going to go ahead and play whatever they want. Let's see. And they're going to play Point of Law. This is going to let them draw one procedure from their discard pile. They can play it because they have scale. There's a scale right here because it's the wild. Play it right there. You get to draw one procedure from their discard pile, and they're going to draw bribery, so that'll go in their hand. All right, then back to the defense. The defense doesn't have anything they want to play, so what they're going to do in their turn is they're going to pass. So that means they're out for the rest of the round, and the prosecution can just keep playing until they are done. So what they want to do here is they're going to go ahead and play bribery down here, and then they're going to play the bloody knife. The bloody knife is pretty awesome, and then they're going to be done. All right, so now it's the end of the round. What you're going to do here is you're going to add up all, the prosecution is going to add up all the P's and N's on their side. The defense is going to add up all the D's and N's on their side, and whoever has the most is going to win the witness. Then there's a little bit more going on. So prosecution has 4, 7, 12. Defense has 4. So prosecution wins it, so they take the witness. If the prosecution has a victory, you can see down at the bottom, they get to lock 2 thumbs. So let's see if they can lock 2 thumbs. They lock 1 thumb. They cannot lock this one because in order to lock it, it has to be 1 away. So they're not able to do that. And then they'll put this in their pile right here for in-game scoring. And then, because they had 9, 12, and they had 4, now what you're going to do is you're going to subtract the losing influence from the winning influence. There's a difference of 8. So now the prosecution gets to sway the jury with a value of 8. You can look at these cards up here. This one has a 1. They go 1 through 6 top, 1 through 6 to bottom. It costs that many points to move to sway the jury. So they have 6. So they want to like tackle some stuff. Actually, they have more than that. So they had 8, 12, and so they had 8 plus the bloody knife because they won. Gives them an extra 15 influence. So they have 27 influence that they can do. So they're going to influence this for 6, this for 5, that's 11, this for 4, that's 15, this for 3, that's 18, this for 2, that's 20, this for 1, that's 22. So they had 23, and they'll lock this one for 1. So they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 jurors in their favor. Actually, they have all but this juror in their favor. So if the game went in now, defense will still win, but the prosecution's well on their way. Then you take all the cards that you played, put it in your discard. All right, so now the player that lost gets to flip their sidebar. So the defense lost, they flip their sidebar. The judge goes to their side. They get to call the next witness. And then we'll draw back up to 5 cards. And then we start playing, starting with the player who called the witness. You're going to do that till either prosecution has locked all 12 of the jurors or all of the witnesses have been called. Then you're going to look and you're going to score. Whoever, like this player would score all their witnesses that have, they get 5 points for each skull and heart. Then you're going to take whoever has the most. You're going to subtract whoever has the least. And then the player that has the most will get to adjust the jury one final time to try to make those final pushes to get the jury on your side. And if the prosecution can sway everything into the red, they win. If the defense can sway at least one person into the blue, they win. And that's how you play Lawyer Up. Let's go up to the top. See what we think about it. All right, so that was Lawyer Up. I gotta say, this game is super fun. I heard about this game on the Dice Tower. They were talking about their most anticipated games of 2020, and the theme just seems super intriguing. You're a card game about being in a court case trying to prosecute a murderer and put him in jail and sway the juror. That's awesome. So because of that, I had to get a copy of this. So I reached out, they sent me a copy, and here we are. So let me tell you about what I like about this game. First, the theme is super unique. I don't know a ton of games where you're running a court case and you're trying to prosecute a murderer or you're trying to defend the murderer to get them free. That is awesome. So 1, good job on that. I like that. 2, I really like that the way that the game sets itself up. So Everybody has kind of the same types of deck. Like half the deck that you're going to be playing with is similar to what your opponent's going to have. But then you're going to randomize some stuff by doing the Biblios thing, where you're drafting a card, you're giving every other player a card. So in this case, you're taking a card, you give the other player a card, and then you bury one. So you never know what's in that buried evidence. There could be cards that you really want in there. You could just be putting a bunch of junk in there that you don't need. But that is awesome. So there's always possibilities where you can dive into that buried evidence to get that one card that you really wanted. But then you got to hope that you drafted or your opponent gave you a card that lets you look into that pile. That's amazing. I love that. It's super fun. Second thing, or a third thing I guess that I like, is I really like the way the witnesses work. So when you call a witness, I didn't really show this, but there's a value here, and then there's going to be a secondary value here. So when you call a witness, you can sway it, put it on your side however you want to try to help you win that case, because you want the examination to go in your favor to sway the jury, to make them doubt the prosecution's case if you're the defense, or make them think that the guy is guilty if you're the prosecution. And then you're also going to be looking, maybe there's some powers that when they're called, you can get to do some things, or like if it's a prosecution victory, you may want that to be on your side if you're the prosecution to help you know that. That's really fun, super cool. And I also like that you're doing kind of some set collection at the end to get these symbols here to score some points, influence points. That's really neat. Fourth thing I think the way I like the sidebar and the objections. I showed the sidebar a couple times and I showed the objection once, but it's really fun to object when somebody's playing a procedure or an argument. It's super fun. But the trick is you only get 3 objections in the game. So you got to hope you can get a card that lets you flip those back over, or you're just out. The sidebars are super fun. You can go, it's basically just a way to draw cards, but it's kind of thematic where you're going to go talk to the judge to try to, get her on your side a little bit. So you go there, flip her to your side, and then draw a card so you have more cards to play. The jury's kind of like a little tug-of-war area control thing, which Katie didn't love. So that's her one knock on this, is the area control. But it's 2-player tug-of-war. That's kind of how most of them work. So if you're fine with that, that's going to be super fun too. And the last thing I really like is I like the way that the in-game conditions are different. So the prosecution needs to get every single witness or juror on their side, just like in a real court case. The defense just needs to have that one person who is doubtful, that one little nugget of doubt, so they can't quite convict him, hung jury or acquitted, whatever that is, just like real life. Super fun, awesome. I dig this. This game is very fun. It's going to be going on Kickstarter here shortly. I think maybe March sometime, but I'll put a link in the description once it's live, so be looking for that. So if you like 2-player card games and you like court cases, you need to check this out. So I'm going to give this a BGM acceptance seal. I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5 wrenches, so an 8 out of 10 on BGG. This is super fun. I can't wait to get a version that has more than one case, because right now I only have one case, so we've just been playing that over and over and over. It's fun, but you see everything. It'd be nice to see some different things and maybe have some cases that function a little differently, which I'm sure they will. But that's my only gripe. And well, the rule book is garbage too, but again, prototype, I'll let that go. I'm sure the final version will be better. So that was Lawyer Up, and super BGM accepted. Great game. I love it. And I'm Jason with the Board Game Mechanics. And as always, keep gaming.